Hi guys, Marquine, Nightmare Baller One here. We'll talk about a couple things in this Blue Moon Extra. So, the New Japan Cup started this morning, and I would have loved to come on here and just talk about the surprisingly really good Great Okan and Yuya Uemura match. I would love to just do that because that was a lot of fun. Crowd was super into it. Felt really cool. Really fun match. But instead, look. Last year, when Takeshita won the G1, I was noticeably disappointed. But it's cool because it all ended up working out in the end. I think at the end of the day, the right thing ended up happening. So you know what I mean? I think Gato takes a lot of crap from a lot of people lately. Some of it, some of it is undeserved. Like, when Takeshita won the G1. Because eventually, it just all worked out. Like, the right thing happened. Like, at the end of the day, the right thing happened. Like, he won and the right guy beat him at Wrestle Kingdom. And it felt like the biggest possible moment they could manufacture. So it's fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. It all worked out for the best. These people that book pro wrestling, for the most part, most of the time, know better than I do. Honestly, know better than I do. We get mad at bookers and things like that, but none of us could actually book these shows. None of us, right? That's out the window. That's not the approach I'm taking for this Blue Moon Extra. So last month, Aaron Wolf faced Ren Narita. The House of Torture jumps him. Ren Narita gets the upper hand, pins him, wins the never openweight title. Did I think the execution of it was very weird? Yes. Did I think they could um, handle it in a way differently? Absolutely. Did I think it made sense? 100%. Because you can't control evil leaving the company. You can't control that, right? And we all know they're not going to disband the House of Torture. Like, people got to get that out their mind. I did a long time ago. These dudes are here to stay. That's fine. All of that was fine. And I understand people being upset with it. Cool. But my whole thing was like, it all makes sense if he just beats Fale in a certain type of way. And what's so annoying about what happened is that they were almost there. That's what annoys me. They jump him again. He looks dominant. He gets the upper hand against them again. Yeah, I mean, this time instead, Yano comes out to help him, which, didn't last very long. But he's like throwing these dudes around and like dominating them. And I'm like, this is what I thought it would be. The way I would have done this is you have it play out the same way. Because, I mean, bottom line, Airwolf's not very good. But you have this kind of play out the same way. But then at the end, he beats Fale and looks dominant. And then Ren comes out and tries to cheat, and it doesn't work. And then Ren, because the idea is that you're going to have him connected to these dudes. Because you want matches that he will have to have heat, because they have heat. And you don't want his matches to die a heatless death. You want him to be the conquering guy against the most hated unit. I understand the logic. I get the logic. I'm not one of these people, just because it involves them, you know what I mean? I just shit on the logic. I can't do it. That's just not who I am, right? I can't do it. So I get the logic. And then I thought what was going to happen is that he pins Fale, and then Ren looks scared and he looks nervous, and then as Ren's going up the ramp, he goes, I'm coming for you next afterward. That's what I thought they would do, right? That's what I thought. And then the whole summer, maybe you play the game where Ren comes up with different ways to dodge getting in the ring with him again. That's what I thought they would do. Because that actually makes sense. And that's where I thought they were going. Like, Ren did some bullshit to steal this title. And then maybe he runs through his friends. Even if he don't run through his friends, maybe he does like little shit, but he wants that never title back because it was stolen from him. That's the route I thought they were going, right? And they may still go that route, But the bottom line is you cannot have him get pinned by Bad Luck Fale. What? Bad Luck Fale? This man hasn't done anything meaningful ever since like at least since 2013, but basically ever. And this is a dude that openly admits that he doesn't care about winning. He had a shirt. Not very long, like 5-6 years ago. I think it might have been longer than that. That said, "Pin me, pay me." They don't push him. They don't treat him like a threat. They don't do anything. Aaron Wolf should not be losing to a guy like that. I understand having him as the muscle for that group, all that stuff is fine. You know what I mean? And then the crazy part is that the match was hot. Because I think the crowd thought the same thing that I thought was going to happen. You know what I mean? Did I think this match was good? No, I don't like any of those fucking matches. But I'm not going to sit here and lie and not acknowledge that the crowd was not hot. Because they were hot. And I thought it would end with Wolf pinning Fale, then looking up the ramp and going, "You are next." And I thought all summer we would play the game of Ren running from him. Right? And then when he finally gets him, he gets the title back and then puts those dudes behind him, right? That's what I thought would happen. But instead, you have him lose to Bad Luck Fale. Now, my thing is, who is this for? Who's this for? Who the fuck? Yeah, at this point, how could you even care about, Aaron Wolf at all? Like, I understand him losing to Ren, but Bad Luck Fale. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, man? I thought the plan was, I'm gonna say it again because I just said it like 4 times because I'm in such disbelief. I thought the plan was he beats Bad Luck Fale and then all summer they duck him. Because that's a good story to tell. That is objectively a good story to tell, regardless of who he's attached to. That is a story, that is a tale as old as time that you do with heels. And that's where I thought they were going. Is that a booger? What the fuck? That's a paper. That's not a booger. I thought I had a booger. But it's a tissue, like rolled. Anyway. But yeah. Tale as old as time, man. Yeah, I mean, been done since the fucking 70s. Yeah, I mean, I thought that's the route they were going. Look, man, I don't care if we get there in the end. I don't care. Sometimes the path does matter. You know what I mean? Sometimes the path does matter. And in this case, there's no justification for this, right? We could get to the same destination, which I think they're going to go to. So I don't want anybody to say they got there. It all worked. No, it doesn't all work out because he got pinned by Bad Luck Fale. And I understand the excuse is this is the New Japan Cup. This is where weird booking happens, and that is true. And you can do that with the entire rest of the bracket. But this is a dude that needed this win. I don't think anyone else, with the exception of Yuya Uemura, because I think he should get pretty far in this. With the exception of him, I don't think even if he doesn't win, I think he should get pretty far. But with the exception of him, I don't think anyone else in this tournament really needs a win. With the exception of Aaron Wolf, who needed this one, and then Yuya getting pretty far. That was it. And then he failed at half of the task. And he beat, and don't get me wrong, Yuya beat Okan in a really good match. But I'm starting to believe that he's gonna fail the second part. And I don't care if we just get there in the end, man. God, man. God. So fucking frustrating. So frustrating, man. I can deal with certain, cause like there's certain things. I'm one of those people. I've kind of resolved the fact that like I'm not getting what I used to get from this company, right? I'm not getting it. I'm just, it's not gonna happen, right? But I can deal with logic. I can deal with logic, man. You know what I mean? Like people think that I'm harsh on AEW, and at times I may be, but tough titty. There's a reason for that. But anyway. And just like I'm harsh on these people. So it's equal, right? I'm harsh on these people too. But the reason being is because, like, I just want things rooted in logic. And like AEW, even if I say certain things aren't for me, right? If it's rooted in logic, I usually let it go, right? That's why, like, right now people are really into the show. and I get it. Like, I understand. Like, I've been watching Dynamite, the past few weeks and stuff, and I really like the crowds, and but there's a little shit that I don't like here and there. You know what I mean? But a lot of this stuff is rooted in logic. So you haven't heard my mouth, have you? You've not heard my mouth, right? When it's all about growing up and maturing and realizing that pro wrestling in general is not designed to just cater to you and your specific taste, right? So if logic is involved, I can usually let it go, right? And in this case, there's just no logic. There's just no logic. And if the logic is getting to where I said, then you failed, man. You failed because you got to make the dude look strong to get to that point. He doesn't look strong if he can't even overcome bad luck Fale, man. You know what I mean? It doesn't work. The Ren thing works because you want him to chase him. You know what I mean? The Fale thing doesn't work because they don't even push him. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, Randy Orton just won the Elimination Chamber. And to me, it makes almost all those dudes in that match look weaker because Randy Orton has not mattered in so long in that company. He hasn't mattered since he was like young in that, because he was younger in that company. So, like, you know what I mean? It loses so much when he wins a match like that. When you have other guys that, are featured or, are younger or, are more, projects, and we're gonna ascend these dudes later. It means so much less when he wins that match. You know what I mean? Because he hasn't mattered for so long. And like, Fale is a dude that never even mattered. Come on, man. Come on. It's fine. And I wouldn't even be upset at this if this was the G1. And it's all about getting points and how you're seated and things like that. But this is one and done. Single elimination, you're out of there. And for all the marbles, you're telling me that Aaron Wolf couldn't overcome Don Fale? Don fucking Fale? What the fuck? At this point, man, thinking about starting a petition to get Gato out of there and replace him with Rocky Romero, man. This is fucking crazy. What the hell? Enough about that. But yeah, Ren Narita. Now, why I keep saying Ren Narita? Yuya Uemura and the Great Okan was a very good to great match, depending on how much you got into it. Crowd was really high. It was really fun to watch. It was a fun fucking match. And that's what I thought that I would come on here and talk about. Like, surprisingly fun ass match. But I can't even do that. I can't do that because of that dumb shit. But anyway, I also wanted to come on here and talk about something that made me feel a little better. The Lanterns trailer. Let's add a little bit of fucking cheer to the end of this goddamn extra. Lanterns looks amazing. Lanterns looks absolutely amazing. This seems to be the what's it call it? Who is the Shadow something? I can't remember the name of that story, but there's a story that what's it call it? The Young Justice guy. Not Weissman, but the other one. Brandon Vietti or however the fuck you say his name. There was a story that he wrote on his Green Lantern where Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, and Jon Stewart were investigating a murder in a small town, and it was essentially they were training Simon Baz at the time, and Jeff Johns. This is part of Jeff Johns' run too. It was all like a crossover type deal, and they were training him at the time, and like the whole thing was like Sinestro was involved and all that stuff, and it seems like a very loose adaptation of that. While this being John's origin story, and I love that story. And I love the dynamic between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. And I love that they went with the route that Hal is disenfranchised. He's not for the core, by the core, all with the core. And that works too. But him being like, I don't really trust these people that much. Just because like I don't really love them. The way, you know what I mean? The way that it appears to be that I should. I like that too. I even like the line at the end where he's talking about what's his name, Chip, the squirrel. He was like, "What of is a squirrel?" I was like, man, this is they nailed Hal Jordan. Jon Stewart, I'm a little more. I don't know it yet. Homeboy's Aaron Pierce is a good actor. I know people are upset that he's not dark skinned. I don't care too much about that, I'm be honest. I understand why people do, but I don't. He's black. That's all that matters to me. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Markeem, call me the coon, even though I call everybody else. Nah, I get why people do. I'm not saying people don't have a point, but like, I'm just, I don't know. I'm not hung up on that. I'm not. Although I get why people are. I'm not gonna say here like I don't get why people. I get why people are. And you're not wrong if you are. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. But I think he's a good actor. I think he's black. I'm excited for it. And I just want to know like more about like who he is and things like that. And I guess we'll find out more. But the demeanor of Hal Jordan is absolutely perfect. This was the one that I was like, if they get this one right, I'm all in. I'm all in if they get this one right. Like I was on the fence in general coming into this. I really like Superman a lot. I love Superman. I like Creature Commandos. I obviously really liked Peacemaker. The Suicide Squad is a really good movie. But this was the one I was like, if James Gunn really, really wants me, and I know he's not like a part of the creative part of it, but if they nail this one, oh, I'm a full on bitch. I'm a mark. At that point, I'm a mark. If they nail this one, but if it's bad, that gives me cause to pause too. I wonder where Sinestro is gonna fit into all this. I wonder if because Sinestro is, if you don't know who Sinestro is essentially the Joker for the Green Lantern. He's the main villain. He becomes rogue and starts his own corps and all sorts of stuff like that. And eventually, that's where I want them to go. I want them to get to the Sinestro Corps War. That's what I want them to get. That's the big crossover movie thing I want them to do. Not Darkseid, not all. I want them to do that, but we got to get there. I'm curious to know if Carol Danvers. I'm not Carol Danvers. If Carol Ferris is in this anywhere. Why I say Carol Danvers? That's Captain Marvel. Where Carol Ferris fits in this. I'm curious if she does at all. I wonder if we find out any of the other emotional spectrum in this. Even if they're not touched on for very long. Like maybe, we find out green is for hope. Yellow is also for fear. And red is for rage. And blue, did I say hope? I meant willpower. Green is for willpower. Blue is for hope, yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. I hope orange is for, avarice, all that stuff. I hope we get to that. I hope that happens. But very excited about that. Please check out that trailer if y'all have not. I'm not going to talk too much more. I'm going to get up out of here. I'm going to keep it short. I needed to get it off my chest, man. It does not make any sense. It is a bridge too far, this man losing the bad luck Fale. The Renderita thing, did I think people were overreacting? No. Did I think people were ignoring the logic because they hate the House of Torture? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But in this case, there's no logic. There's no angle that anybody could try to fucking defend this with. There is no angle at all. You cannot be having this man lose to fucking Don Fale.